Hi there, and welcome to Rusted Junk, the 80s movie podcast. Do you dream about gremlins? How hard can you actually die? Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe? If those mean something to you, then you're in the right place. This season, we're all about a dip into the 90s. So over to Charlie, Amanda, Joe and Dom for the film.
Hello, welcome everyone. It's time for a dip in the 90s. I know it's an 80s podcast, but here we are. We are dipping into the 90s with already some classics. And we've got a full house. So, I'm Charlie. You can go in whatever order you like, everyone. Don't mind.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Dom.
Oh, he's not singing. I thought he was going to carry on the sing. We're going to have a symphony there of some sort. Anyway, welcome. One of the things we put on the YouTube channel, no branding, no anything, no credits either side or anything like that. We put up a tribute to Carl Weathers, and I think people appreciated that we did that, and we wanted to do that. It was one of the things. I do apologise, even though I said there that my video editing skills might be very poor, but it's something that we all felt we needed to do. So we put it on there, and as we said on the video, he will be very sadly missed. But anyway, we have a film to do here, so I'm going to tell you what the film is. The film is Basic Instinct. It was directed by Paul Verhoeven. It was released on March the 20th, 1992. And the plot revolves around San Francisco police detective Nick Curran, played by Michael Douglas, who investigates the brutal murder of a wealthy rock star, Johnny Boz. During the course of the investigation, Curran becomes entangled in a passionate and intense relationship with Catherine Trammell, played by Sharon Stone, an enigmatic writer and the prime suspect in the murder. Trammell's mysterious past and provocative behaviour keep Curran on edge as he delves deeper into the case. It made $352 million at the box office on a $49 million budget, has a 56% critic score and 64% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's a pretty good introduction. I mean, I didn't want to go into the whole plot, and then he did this, and then she did that, and whizzy bang.
Yes, it's all right, isn't it?
All right, it's nice, snappy, to the point. However, I'm going to do my usual thing because I've done this. It was fourth at the box office in 1992.
Oh.
I've written out the 10. So, because I think people might shout things out, and I can tell you where they are on the list. But does anyone want to guess that one's above it? 1992.
I couldn't tell you. I can't even think.
Okay, the sequel to a 1990 Christmas favourite.
Home Alone.
Home Alone 2.
2.
Just in third place at 358 million. If nobody's going to take a guess, I thought, Joe, you might at least get one of their sequels.
Oh, is it one of the Rocky sequels?
It's not. It's Batman Returns, which was at number 6.
Oh, yeah.
$266 million.
So this beat Batman Returns?
This meets Batman Returns and Lethal Weapon 3, which was at 321 million.
Insanity.
Number 7, I'll keep you in suspense for a minute. Number 7, Few Good Men, 243. Sister Act, God knows why. Sister Act at 8 with 231 million.
Was that the first?
The first one.
That was super popular over here.
It sort of was over here with very strange people.
Don't know why.
Don't know why. Bram Stoker's Dracula at number 9, 250 million.
Oh, I did like that.
Diddle-a-doo, diddle-a-doo, diddle-a-doo. Wayne's World with 183 at number 10. But with Home Alone 2 at number 3, number 2, Kevin Costner.
Dances with Wolves?
No.
The Untouchables?
Oh, Robin
Oh, no,
Hood.
not The Untouchables.
No.
Robin Hood.
Dom comes out of nowhere with the guess.
That's what I thought it was, no?
Oh, The Bodyguard.
Oh.
Number 1, animated Disney film. Come on, Joe.
So it was 92. Let's
Beauty and the Beast
see.
in 91, and then
Was it Aladdin?
it was
Okay.
Aladdin. So Bodyguard made 411 million. Aladdin, 504 million. Pretty good going. Pretty good going.
Hmm.
Anyway, Basic Instinct was Amanda's choice. So over to
It
you.
was.
Yeah. So I try and say this without going, why? Why did you choose Basic Instinct?
Why? Right, okay. So I was 18 when this came out. I know, shocking to believe. I look so young. I didn't actually see it when it came out because I was a bit of a wuss. I didn't really like blood and stuff in films. So I never watched it when it came out. Well, I watched it a few years later. I don't remember the first time I watched it. But yeah, I remembered it being, and I haven't seen it for years. So when like the 90s theme came up, I thought, oh yeah, I quite like to pick that film. It just was a really good watch when I remember watching it, and it had a little bit of a twisty turny plot which kept you engaged. Obviously there's the leg crossing scene, and I always thought, and we'll come on to this, that it was like, a stunt and there was nothing there and you couldn't see anything, but we'll come on to that later. So yeah, Sharon Stone, very good looking woman. And this was one of the movies that really, brought her out into the fore, into sort of public attention, really. So I'm bigging it up for the women as well in this sort of era. Yeah, I think it was just a really good watch. It had a good plot. The acting was good. So that's why I picked it.
Okay. So we'll go around this way, I think. So give the initial thoughts of what you think. Dom.
Well, there's a few things Amanda raises there that I think we should return to when we do the review. I guess it's a little bit surprised because I always think of this as a film made by men for men. So, I'm interested that perhaps Amanda would disagree and that she obviously as a woman enjoyed the film as well, because I wasn't sure if that would be the case. I think the reason this film is famous and the reason that most people would choose to watch it would be to do with the sex. It's very highly charged, erotic, quite explicit film for a mainstream movie, and in my mind, that's why you would watch this film, to get off on it.
But there isn't that much sex in it, though.
When there is sex, it's sex.
It's proper, but there isn't a lot of sex in it. It's not like, oh God, they're at it again. Oh God, they're at it again. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't count them all, but there must be 5 or 6 separate, reasonably lengthy sex scenes. A couple of them pretty explicit as well, which is more than your average Hollywood fare.
I guess so. Charles, put the kettle on.
Yeah, put the kettle on. That old chestnut. Yeah, thank you. Because sometimes I think are you getting a bit prudish in your old age? If you didn't like the angle in Pulp Fiction, you thought, well, we could have done without seeing that.
I did think this was the second film in a row we've watched which fetishizes cocaine use. Definitely thought that was the case. So yeah, maybe.
Well, you're choosing the next one, so it may continue. I don't know. I don't pick. So.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Got a good one.
I'm sure you have a belter. Right. Well, Joe.
So I have a funny story about this one. I didn't see it in the theaters when it first came out, and what happened was I rented it on VHS, and the day I rented it was when I also bought my first home theater experience, which was like a made-up home theater thing. Like I got these huge tower speakers that were almost as tall as me. I got these rear speakers. So basically the rear speakers were pumping out even more of the front speakers, but they were in the back. And I had a subwoofer and I had a sound speaker, but it was insane. It was just like something that I put together. And so this girl I worked with, she lived close by, and I says, you doing anything? And she's like, no. I says, I just got my home theater. You got to check it out. It's so cool. And she goes, well, what movie should we watch? I said, I just rented not Pulp Fiction, Basic Instinct. I said, you want to watch that? She goes, no, I haven't seen it. Yeah. She goes, I heard it's supposed to be good. It's like, okay. So she comes over, I turn off the lights. It's pitch black. I put it on, start the movie. And it's the first scene, and it's orgasming, and it's loud, super loud. Like the hair on my legs are shaking from the subwoofer, from everything. And I got a big smile on my face, and she's like, "Joe," and I'm like, "Isn't this the coolest thing you've ever seen or heard?" And she's like, "Joe," and I was like, "Doesn't it sound like you're right in bed with them?" And she's like, "Joe," I was like, "What?" And she's like, "I feel kind of uncomfortable." I says, "But doesn't it sound really cool?" It's like, she goes, "I don't know if I should be watching this with you." And I was like, oh, all right. So we watched Little Mermaid.
Oh,
Oh
what?
no!
Yeah, she was naked too.
Joe, I thought that anecdote was going to end up with a different situation with you and this last. No, you end up watching.
She was all right, you know, but no, we were just good friends.
Well, after that, yeah.
But I know I will say, we had reviewed Fatal Attraction. I think this is a better movie than Fatal Attraction, which both it's similar in ways. You got some psychotic bitch that's into sex, and you got Michael Douglas is in it, but for some reason he's more remembered for Fatal Attraction. But I do like this movie better, and Sharon Stone was a breakout role for her, and she was pretty damn hot in that. And I'm gonna break with tradition, and I don't care. And people, if you're listening, leave comments or contact Charlie wherever you want to. I am giving this an 8 out of 10. I'm giving I am protesting. I want the scores coming back in the beginning, and then, because I like hearing scores in the beginning, so I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Maybe it'll change, maybe it won't after this podcast, but for now, 8 out of 10.
Dom, do you want to join the revolution? You've already been. Do you want to? Joe's marching on the chateau.
Okay, well, I'll just add my one comment, which is Michael Douglas. I'm sick of him. I hope it's a while before we do a Michael Douglas film again, because he just plays the same character, very well.
Changes list. Sorry. Okay.
So yeah,
he's kind of cool. Back then everybody wanted to be him. But I understand what you're saying.
It's just so generic. And what's the expression you have in America? White bread, just like bland and average. So I'm scoring this. If we are giving our scores early, if we're unlike in this film, if we're shooting our loads early, then I'm going for a 3 out of 10. That's my score. Basic Instinct. Yeah.
Whoa! I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either.
Your chins. Yeah, 3 out of 10.
Jeez, Dom.
Joe,
3.
Joe, this is why I probably put the scores up, because if I was listening now, I do love you, dear listeners, and I know you may watch it in things, but listen to it or watch it in parts. You've got to find out why the chickens. Dom has scored it a 3. Blimey!
What the chickens, Dom?
Yeah.
We'll get into it, won't we? Well, I want to hear from Charlie. We've had listener feedback that Charlie, we need to rediscover the old Charlie. You need to get stuck into this. I want to hear you give this the creative kicking, or the eulogy that it deserves in your mind.
On feedback, by the way, we've had a couple of people nominate films that they want to do. So I think maybe after the first round, we might do one of the listener films. I think it'd be a good idea. We can discuss which one. I think there have been 3 mentioned, but there's 2 that stand out. I think one of each. But anyway, back to the film. I'm gonna give it an 8. I want to kind of give it a 9, but I'm giving it an 8. But I have to take my hat off to this film, because I was only thinking about the transition between the 80s and the 90s. And I think when I think about that transition period, Total Recall was really, for me, something I hadn't seen before. And I know it's the same director, but I hadn't seen it before. I hadn't seen that level of scale of everything else. Like The Running Man was probably starting to get close with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and boom, he's in this huge sci-fi film. And I just think the transition from there in each film, you got Total Recall in 90, Silence of the Lambs in 91, which was pretty much game-changing in cinema. And it's one of those films that I wouldn't put in the 1980s. Weirdly, probably started being filmed in there. And Basic Instinct. I think there are certain films that define the 90s. We've obviously covered, we covered Speed, whether or not people think that's the best action film. Pulp Fiction, we gave it the perfect score of 40. But I mean, Basic Instinct, people remember. It's one of those things. If you said Basic Instinct, oh yeah, the leg crossing scene. Or if you said Sharon Stone, they go Basic Instinct. It's just one of those things that are in people's psyches, and there's no surprise that Michael Douglas is in it, because he's in those types of films. He's in those water cooler talking point films. He makes good selections. We'll get to him briefly in roll call. I just think it's well made. I think it's well written. I think it's well made. Yes, there are holes in it. Size 10 holes.
I can think of a hole.
Well,
Hey.
very good, very good. Let's start early, shall we? But yeah, I just like it. I could watch it again now. It's one of those films. I watched the European version rather than the US version, Joe. So I don't know which version you watched.
What's the difference?
42 seconds.
Which is?
Well,
sex.
We'll get to that in trivia time. I'll tell you all about it in trivia time.
So whose is
Which will be
longer?
separate.
The Europeans.
Europeans, obviously. Yeah.
I thank you.
Of course.
So an 8 bordering a 9 out of 10. Amanda, what was your score then? If we're all
Yeah. Let's go.
exposing ourselves early. What was your score?
Can we do halves?
Yeah.
Half.
8.5.
Ooh,
Okay.
outnumbered, Dom.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to lodge a few points before we get into it. The dialogue is drivel. Yes. The plot makes no sense. The ending is just makes you feel like you've wasted your whole time watching the film because it's totally inconclusive. Yeah. No. Okay. I'm not seeing a lot of nodding heads, but listeners, I can feel our listeners nodding at home.
There's no nodding heads. Sorry, not a lot of nodding heads. There's none. We're just looking at you with a mixture of disbelief and incredulity.
Oh my god! You did all rewatch the film, didn't you? Before this pod, no one's been unprofessional enough to just go from their vague memories of 20 years ago. No.
Yeah,
Well, you know what
enjoyed
it
it.
is? That's the whole thing. It's enjoyment, and I did enjoy it. But I agree with you that, like, the story. I think everybody in the movie is stupid. It's like, how could they not figure out who the killer is? It's especially Michael Douglas. I mean, just the thing that happens at the end was just ridiculous. But we'll get into that. But I kind of understand, what you're going at. But again, it's something that if I'm going to watch that, or I'm going to watch I'm Sorry with Nail and I think I'd prefer watching Basic Instinct.
Fight and talk with Dom. Should we just, Amanda? Should we just leave these two to duke it out, and then we'll come back in 20 minutes?
I mean, I like With Nail and I, but I'm not going to see much pussy there.
Yeah. This is why it's a good choice to film, Amanda, because it does obviously spark some debate, doesn't it? And
Yeah, well, yeah.
Mass debate. Yeah.
Anyway, so is that it? You're just going to give your score, or are you going to give reason why you've given it an 8.5?
Well, I said that all at the beginning. Why I chose the film.
Right.
Okay. I just think it's a good plot. It's well acted. It kept my attention, which is quite hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And
It's quite hard, yeah.
yeah, the sex scenes are great.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
thumbs up
Right.
from me.
Okay. Right. Wow. Okay. This is going to be fun. So let's get the trailer out the way, and then a little bit of roll call, and let's get onto the film, because it's going to be Dom firing back three tennis players on the other side of the court.
I've
It's
been
a
there, Dom.
Oh.
It's not that bad. You'll be okay. I might jump on you. I might jump on your side of the court at some point. So.
I would have been there I would have been outnumbered on Howard the Duck, but thankfully I wasn't. So.
The film isn't perfect. Even I was like questioning, wasn't I? I was like,
Yeah.
well, why they did that, and why did that happen, and why didn't
Sometimes
that?
you just got to accept. You just got to get with the film. You've got to ride the crest of it, and everyone else has seen it, and everyone's talking about it, and just have a good time with it. For goodness sake.
Right, hit the button for the
Here
trailer.
we go. Here's a trailer.
We got 31 stab wounds.
What was it?
Ice pick.
I'd like to speak to a Miss Catherine Trammell, please.
Is she a suspect?
She's a suspect.
I wanted to write a book about the murder of a retired rock and roll star.
You know how she does the boyfriend? With an ice pick.
She intended the book to be her alibi. I picked him up, and I had sex with him.
You didn't feel anything for him, you just had sex with him for your book.
In the beginning. Then I got to like what he did for me.
You like playing games, don't you?
It's nice.
You've got no physical evidence.
She's lying. What's your new book about?
A detective. He falls for the wrong woman.
What happens?
She kills him.
Stay away from her. You are out of control, Curran.
You won't learn anything I don't want you to know.
She knew I'd say she did it, and she knew that nobody would buy it.
She is screwing with your head, Nick.
She knows things about me that I only told you.
How does it feel to kill someone?
You tell me.
I think you got too close to the flame. I think you liked it. You're in over your head. She seduces people.
It was internal affairs, wasn't it?
She manipulates people.
Freeze! How much did she pay you? You wanna play it? Come on! She knows where I live and breathe.
Games are over, Nick.
Now, I like that trailer.
It's quite powerful, quite noisy. And it's the music they play in the club, isn't it?
It is, yes. Strangely enough, they didn't use the music that they used throughout the film. They saved that for the next film that she did, Sliver, which is dreadful. But
It was
anyway,
okay.
we'll get to that.
Best, was it?
Well, again, I think the success
Again,
of this
it's,
movie was
taken
not based
from-
on the trailer or the reviews. It was word of mouth.
Yeah,
And
it's the scene.
and it was that scene. Everybody's like, you got to go see that. It's like,
Well, it sells, as it always has and always will.
All right, I'll nip in there. My
Go on.
first point: is there a market for this sort of film anymore? These erotic thrillers in an era of Pornhub and freely accessible hardcore pornography. Why would you go and watch a softcore film like this anymore? I just don't think there is a market for it these days.
I'm wondering, do you go out to the cinema and you go, well, I'll wait until like The Little Mermaid's finished and then I'll go in because they're showing Butthole Surfers 5. And then you're sitting there with your popcorn watching hardcore. You're going for a collective experience, aren't you? Pornhub's a solo or maybe a few people watch it at the same time, but
I mean,
pretty
there's
much
some
a solo
people
experience.
that won't push the button to go to Pornhub, and they'll subscribe to Cinemax, which I don't know if it is now, but they used to call it kind of like Skinemax. Yeah, because it's like kind of softcore porn, and it's almost like I'll watch softcore porn, but I'm not gonna watch hardcore porn because then I'll be really sick. But that's why there's a market. There are people that'll watch that because they don't think that they can deal. I don't like porn either. I mean, it's the same thing over and over and over again. You get sick of that. You want to see a story.
I'm going to try some different sites, Joe.
Well,
I'm not even going to get into that. So, all right, okay.
That's an interesting comment because, in my mind, incorrectly perhaps, it was a fairly thin sliver of people who would cross the line of watching porn, but would only watch soft rather than hard stuff. I just think, that's fair play. If that's you, then I accept that. But I just think if you want to get your rocks off, then these days you would go and find whatever tickles your fancy, whatever genre, whichever subcategory it is you like, and consume that. And if you want to watch a film or a movie, you go and watch something and be entertained. I just think the overlap between kind of watching a film to get aroused and find it sexual, I don't know. I was curious as to whether that was still a thing in 2024.
Of course it is. Desire, sex. Of course it's still popular in films. Jesus. And Netflix series and TV series. You have to look at Game of Thrones. That was full of it.
That was there, but it was like
so
incidental to
popular.
the plot. Yeah, or it would, there was the plot, and then they'd have sex scenes to titillate and to kind of supplement it. But I would say that in Basic Instinct, the sex is the plot. That's the whole point of the film is the sex. And I don't think there's too many films like that these days. Maybe 50 Shades of Grey would be another example, but
Yeah, and look how popular that was.
yeah, but that's the only other one I can think of. Whereas
there's loads of stuff on Netflix.
It's funny. I have one porno, and it's something that combines something that I really like. It's Batman, and it's Adam West Batman, and it's so good. And what's great about it is that it comes.
He wears his cape.
He does, but it's two different. They have two different versions on it. They have the X-rated version and they have the G-rated version on it. So the G-rated version is 20 minutes. The X-rated version is 2 hours. But the G-rated version is so much better because they parody Adam West and Burt Ward and everything that was in Batman 66 perfectly. It's funny when you watch the porn. It's basically some girl is giving, like Batgirl is giving Robin a blowjob for a half an hour, and it's like, are you done yet? It's like, because you don't want to see that all the time, and that's why I feel like, again, like something like this, an erotic thriller, like she has sex with Michael Douglas. What does that last for? Like maybe 3 minutes, but it's pretty hardcore what they're doing. I'm surprised that this didn't get an X rating or not rated. Like again, like Charlie was talking about it. When you think about back in the 70s, you had Midnight Cowboy and you had A Clockwork Orange. Those look like Disney films compared to this. I mean, with some of the stuff that she did, like with the sex that she had with the women that she had sex with the men that she had sex with. I was like, I am really surprised that I don't think that this would get I don't think they would allow this now.
You didn't see her have sex with women though.
Yeah, you did. Didn't you?
No.
Didn't she have sex with a girlfriend there? Well,
no, she didn't have sex with her. There was a scene in the movie that they shot, but it got cut out because it didn't make the movie run smooth. So the only bit that you do see is her kissing Roxy when she's had a bit of an argument with Michael Douglas when he storms out of her place.
All right, maybe I was mistaken. Maybe it was.
So you don't see any
a fantasy of mine.
The girls.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, to me, it's like that was a lot. They would never give this an R rating. They would say you got to cut a lot now.
Yeah,
because
there is some stuff on trivia about that particular aspect about the bisexuality of and sex scene. So we can come on to that at the appropriate time.
I think trivia time is going to be a belter. This, I really do. I think we've got some great trivia. I saw yours, Amanda. I saw what you did. I prepared. I had a quick sneak peek. So yeah, and I know what I've got. So it's going to be great.
But Joe's point though, whether you like it or not, is I think it is the most sexually explicit mainstream Hollywood film. There might be art house films, there might be other darker recesses of Netflix, perhaps. But in terms of a film that would trouble the top 10 box office releases in a particular year, then this has got to be number one, I would suggest.
I don't know. What about, as I haven't seen it for years, Blue Velvet? Didn't that have something in it?
That had a sexual theme in it and sex scenes, but it was much more dark and less of it. I think Showgirls, which is another Paul that's it, Verhoeven film, but that was a film about strippers. So what do you expect? But yeah, I think Joe's right. I think there's two scenes in particular that we'll get to. The one where Michael Douglas practically, it's debatable as to whether it's consensual with that shrink, and
no, that's pretty decisive.
Yeah, and the bit where he goes down on her as well. I was definitely quite surprised to see that shot in the way it was.
Well, shall we move over to roll call then? On that note, then get into the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And that's just this is why I love this pod. I love doing the podcast. I think it's great because there are going to be lots of good input on this film, and I think it is going to be one of those ones that we're going to have a really good conversation about. But let's do roll call first. Here's roll call.
Roll call.
Okay, so we made a collective thing to dismiss Michael Douglas. If you want to go back and listen to it, we've done Wall Street, done Fatal Attraction, so you can go back and listen to what we do for Roll Call and Michael Douglas. I would say that, despite what you said, Dom, I think he's a definitive 80s, 90s actor. I think he's like in the same way that, Tom Cruise went on. He didn't. But you're just looking at the types of films that he's done. He definitely left his mark, I think.
He deserved the Oscar for Wall Street, for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. And you realise Michael Douglas's thing is talking like this and then suddenly shouting very quick. It's his stick that he has in his films now. So go back and listen to those if you want to hear about Michael Douglas. However, Sharon Stone's career. Somebody start this off with Sharon Stone. I've got the list here, so I know. But anyone want to?
Her biggest film apart from this was Casino.
Yeah,
I'd say. Yeah. Great film, which she's pretty good in.
No, I mean,
well, it's funny because
Bacon's wise.
To me, she's the least memorable in that movie. It was just like a minor supporting actress role in that. But this is what made her, by far. Because after Basic Instinct, you're like, oh, did you know she was in Total Recall? And you're like, she was? And you had to watch it again. Oh, yeah, there she is. But, it's like we didn't care that she was in Total Recall before this movie came out. So I don't care that she was in Total Recall. She really didn't do much.
18-year-old Charles watched Total Recall and fell in love and was like, and now I've got to wait another 2 years. And then 2 years later, I get the Christmas gift that I asked for and Basic Instinct. In Total Recall, she shines out. And she is memorable. Not just least for the lines and stuff, but oh boy, she looked amazing. Come on, Doug, you want to tie me up? And all that sort of stuff. Yes, I am on the Sharon Stone train and I'm loving every minute. What about other highlights? I mean, it doesn't get much better after Casino, really.
Didn't she do the Quick and the Dead?
He did.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, she kind of has this like bounce. If you want a bonus trivia question, anyone that gets this wins a prize. She played Catherine Trammell in another film.
Well, Basic Instinct 2, though, yeah.
No. Apart from the sequels.
Oh, it's probably, I would say like Wayne's World or
No.
something.
You're on the right thing. It was a cameo. It lasted about 3 seconds.
Oh, I know.
Go on.
Last Action Hero.
That's great. As they're going into the police station, Robert Patrick as the Terminator walks out, and she walks out in her white dress and lights a cigarette. Like that. Brilliant. Where she started, King Solomon's Mines, Alan Quatermain, and then this poor sequel. I mean, poor start film. Alan Quatermain, The Lost City of Gold. She's in Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. Yay. Dreadful. She was in Action Jackson, so we've got the Carl Weathers connection there as well. Then I would say I would argue her breakout film was Total Recall, because everyone got going, who is this? Basic Instinct pretty much cemented it. Sliver, Last Action Hero, The Specialist with Sylvester Stallone, which is watchable, instantly forgettable, and then you watch it again and you'll forget it again. It's just one of those types of films. Quick and the Dead, Intersection with Richard Gere. Then we've got Casino. Then we've got the underrated, it's a better book than it is film, but Sphere with Dustin Hoffman and Samuel L. Jackson. Very poor film, but it's a guilty pleasure. Oh, she was the voice in Ants in 1998. Then there's a gap.
Yeah.
There's a gap. 2004. She plays the bad guy, woman, whatever, in Catwoman. And then in 2006, she recreated Catherine Trammell for probably our last major film, which is Basic Instinct 2, which we'll get to in trivia, only because of how poorly it did. But oh my goodness, what a mess. Although if we watched it, we would all be with you on your scores, Dom. We would be going lower than 3. It's a total mess of a film, Basic Instinct 2. So it's, what were they thinking?
Featuring Stan Collymore, Nottingham Forest's finest,
right.
Stan Collymore.
Yeah.
I did want to say, I think it's kind of sad though, because she only became popular because she crossed her legs or uncrossed her legs, and she took her clothes off and she did that sex scene. If she didn't do any of that in that movie, no one would know who Sharon Stone was. I mean, she is a decent actress, you know. I mean, like Dom said, she was good in Casino. I thought she was very good in that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I don't know. And I know we'll get into trivia about that whole thing with the leg crossing thing, but regardless, it definitely made her who she is.
You got any Oscar bants, Dom?
Yeah, she was nominated once, and that was for Casino for Best Actress in 1996. She lost out to Susan Sarandon, who won it for Dead Man Walking, also nominated Emma Thompson for Sense and Sensibility, Meryl Streep for Bridges Madison County, and Elizabeth Shue for Leaving Las Vegas, which is an underrated film. That's a good film. But yeah, that was a tough year to be up against Meryl Streep, Emma Thompson, Susan Sarandon. That's like three hardcore Best Actress nominees there. And she probably didn't deserve it, but it was still a good film and good performance. But I think Sharon Stone's best. I think she's the best thing in this film. I think she's good, and although she's given some clunky dialogue and some dodgy plot lines, I think you can see her promise and capability as an actress. I'm not saying she's in the Meryl Streep bracket, of course not, but I thought she was my favourite part of this film.
One of the things that we'll link to in the YouTube, for those in YouTube, we'll actually put the link into her screen test where she came in, because if you like that performance, Dom, I think that she's better in the film. The screen test is just off the charts. It's just like, give her the job, give her the role. She's just incredible.
Yeah, when you think about it, I really can't think of too many people that could have taken that role and did what she did with it.
Well, in trivia, we'll get to who turned it down.
I mean, I can think of one person that might have wanted that, was Sean Young. She's someone like that. I could see dying to get into that movie. But I did want to say one thing about Sharon Stone. Like the last few years, she's had problems. Like I remember she was like dating this like some billionaire guy, and they went in to see a Komodo dragon, and the dragon bit her boyfriend's toe off. That's like, she was in the headlines like for a while for that. And recently she's been in the headlines because she's been doing online dating, which she's been doing for about 3 or 4 years.
What?
Yeah, what is she, 60 now?
Charles' eyes light up.
Sorry,
yeah.
What site was this again? Sorry.
I'm not sure. It could be Match.com, but she did confess that she's been doing online dating and that she has been going out with guys that she met online. But it's crazy to think. I mean, she looks incredible still. It's crazy to think that she has to resort to something like that to go out with guys. And
I remember,
and that she's still and that
on.
she's still doing it after like 3 or 4 years.
10 years ago, she was at a UN conference or something, and she actually auctioned for her charity a kiss. And the person that won paid 85 grand.
Yeah. Oh, that's ridiculous.
So, well, rich people with nothing to do and nothing to spend your money on. I mean, there's got to be a point where you earn so much money that you go, I can't buy I physically can't buy something that's going to fill my day up.
I mean, the only thing I think they would auction would be her dress from that movie. I mean, that would be worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's Monica Lewinsky's dress.
Yes. Didn't have sexual relations with her. So.
But that's a dirty dress too, and I wouldn't want it.
Filthy. The next on the list, the psychiatrist, Jan Triplehorn. Anybody want to make a guess at another film that she's in? I am going to test you here, unless you've actually looked it up. Dom, I saw you look at your notes. Yes. What have you got?
I've done some research, but I would have. I think I'd have recalled from being in The Firm.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah,
it's a good film. That is an underrated film.
Yeah, that's a good film.
She's in Sliding Doors. She's in Reality Bites. She's in Waterworld. I think she got rewarded. Well, not rewarded by Dennis Hopper and Kevin Costner in the flop that is Waterworld. Mickey Blue Eyes.
Yeah,
with
but I'm hoping.
Hugh Grant.
Hang on. I'm hoping somebody does Waterworld. I'm not. So it's very hypocritical of me. It's not. No.
Why?
For our listeners who may have forgotten, Waterworld was the quintessential 90s flop, wasn't it? Yeah. So huge budget, extravagant, overblown production. It crashed horribly, sank without a trace, so to speak. But does it deserve a critical reappraisal? I've not seen it since the 90s. I think that'd be a good candidate if anyone's looking for one more for the list.
I think it's one I remember that was bad, and I might actually like it. Because I don't think I've even watched The Postman with Kevin Costner, and there's no Kevin Costner film I really don't like. So, yeah, maybe. Jen Striplehorn, Mickey Blue Eyes with Hugh Grant. She was in a TV series Big Love. She was in Criminal Minds. Don't watch it. And The Terminal List with Chris Pratt, with the latest thing that she was in. So
it's very attractive.
She is. Oh, I mean, let's go to the next one on the list. Let's go to Roxy, Leilani Sorrell. Didn't do a lot. I've seen a picture of Roxy now.
Who, she's a lesbian?
Time has been kind to her.
Really?
Yeah, Catherine Trammell's girlfriend, yeah. Roxy.
It has been kind to her.
It has been kind to her.
She looks really good.
She also played before she did this, she played the policewoman in Days of Thunder. And policewoman in inverted commas, because they stop and make it think that Tom Cruise has been arrested, but no, it's a stripper. She didn't really do anything else. There's nothing else of note that I can pick up. But good on her, because I always remember putting her hair up and going, "What's your name?" It's Roxy. And I'm like, I remember Roxy. I'll never forget her. Not for that reason, lucky lot. It's for her presence.
I remember she, again, back in the day when I saw her, I was like, oh, she looks tough. I bet she's the man.
George Zunza, his partner, gets brutally murdered at the end of the film. We know that. Hopefully you've all watched it. We are going to spoil it, by the way. He's in The Deer Hunter, No Mercy with Richard Gere, No Way Out. He was Cobb in Crimson Tide, which I hope somebody picks. We've also got Stephen Tobolowsky. Anyone want to have a guess at him? And I'll tell you who he was in the film. And hopefully Dom is the quickest person that's going to answer this. But when he comes at the start and they're doing the psych profile and they're all around the table and she's reeling out what's going on, and he's going, correct. And then he gives his psych profile. He's the doctor that the psychiatrist brings in. Tall, thin, glasses.
I don't remember him, I'm afraid. No.
Well, he was Ned Ryerson.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Smack. And also in Sneakers.
He was also in Thelma and Louise, apparently.
He was, yes. I don't remember him for Thelma and Louise, but yeah, I should have probably put that. But yeah, Sneakers. He's the guy that they have to nick the pass off, which is all pretty good. And then lastly on this one, so we'll wrap it up, a nice quick tight one on this. And then I've got a little bit at the end. Wayne Knight, again, Newman in Seinfeld, Dirty Dancing, Jurassic Park, voice of Toy Story 2, Third Rock from the Sun. And we have a little bit of love for the director. Because, not being funny, he met the protest groups. I know there's a little bit of trivia. He met protest groups. He says, we heard you're going to release this. We heard that the script's going around. Obviously, it gets out in Hollywood. People protested. He visited them and said, right, let's help me rewrite it so that it's more,
what were they protesting?
Protesting that, there was too much sex in there and there's too much depiction of bisexual people was, it was wrong. You're putting them all like that they're all killers and things like this. He did write down. Prudes. Well, he sat down, he wrote it, he looked at it and just went, screw it. I'm just going to go with the original script. And he just did the original one. So he just disregarded it.
I thought you were going to tell me that he changed it and we missed a lot that could have been in that movie.
No. He didn't bow down to the woke. I mean, I suppose that's the example of it. Flesh and Blood, RoboCop, they're all directors. Total Recall, Showgirls, Starship Troopers, Hollow Man. Not bad. Take a bow on that. No, that's not bad.
I wouldn't say that was good either, to be honest with you.
RoboCop, and then Total Recall.
RoboCop. I mean, it's a sci-fi movie. It's not like he's going to be sitting in the front row of the Oscars for that one.
No, and he's certainly not going to be. But people remember him from Showgirls. Starship Troopers was a blast. Is it?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Starship Troopers is a quality film.
It is.
Oh, so you prefer Starship Troopers over this one?
Yeah, I love Starship Troopers. I've watched it so many times. Yeah, I think it's really fun and enjoyable just as it's shown on the screen, but I think it's quite subversive as well. I think it's also a bit of a commentary and a critique on certain values, shall we say.
Yeah,
it probably is.
It's an excellent film.
I was too dumb to notice that when I first watched it, so I probably need to watch that again.
Well, maybe, just maybe, we might be rewatching it at some point in the not too distant future. Yeah, tantalize you with that.
It's just like Christmas. Maybe if you're good, we'll get what you want.
Get you a gun, whatever they call it. What's that Christmas story rubbish? I've just angered the people that were angered by my review of our review of Christmas Story.
Some people's review.
RoboCop is about the life of Jesus.
What?
Anyway, really? I didn't know that one.
Honestly, you can go and look it up. That's what's supposed to follow. He dies and rises again.
If Jesus came back, he'd definitely have an Uzi with this time, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yeah,
and Jesus was on Earth 40 days after he died. He didn't spend 40 days like blowing people away.
He gave them 20 seconds to comply. That's what it was about.
I don't remember that giant robot fighting Jesus in the Bible.
Blessed are the cheesemakers. Anyway, Joe Esterhaus, we're on to the writer. And I do have to give him a bit of Flashdance, Jagged Edge with Glenn Close and Jeff Bridges is a good film. It's a well-written film. Unfortunately, he did Sliver, Showgirls, and Basic Instinct 2, and then Showgirls 2. But
there's a Showgirls 2?
There is a Showgirls 2, which I didn't realise until 5:15 today, that there is a Showgirls 2. I don't know if Elizabeth Barkley's in it. I don't know if anybody. It should be... I was about to say ashamed of it. Showgirls is such a guilty pleasure. But anyway, Joe Esterhaus got 1.2 million for a film called Big Shots, and then was drumming his fingers and going, "I'm the highest paid writer in Hollywood," until his rival Shane Black, i.e. Billy from Predator. Is it Billy, the one with the cap and the glasses? The first one that gets killed by the Predator. That's Shane Black. That's the writer.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Shane Black got 1.5 million for The Last Boy Scout. So Joe Esterhaus went, "You need to pay me more for my Basic Instinct," which I think was originally called Love Hurts. And yeah, basically he held out, and he got 3 million.
They should have called this film Love Hurts. That would have been a better title for it, I think. Yeah.
Basic, Primeval Instinct, Basic Instinct. Oh, yes. No, perfect. Anyway.
Well, can I ask you guys something?
Yes, because we finished roll call. So there you go.
So what does the title mean? What does that refer to? Would you say?
The basic instinct of sex and killing. I don't know. The two of them are primeval instincts, aren't they? There you go. That's my quick Freudian 10-seconder.
Well, it's nice, but I don't see it. I don't see his killing as a basic instinct or, combining sex, with killing.
All right, just sex then.
No.
Is that not a basic instinct? No? Help me out, anybody? By all
I would say so.
Well, I guess sex, I guess, is a basic instinct, but I still don't understand what's... All right, let's move on. Sorry.
Moving on. So, good start, as we pointed out. The introduction of characters, I think, is really good. This is where Don starts breaking apart the the positivity that I might put in there. But
I'll just sit here with my arms folded. Yeah.
yeah, I think the introduction of characters. I was a big fan of his partner. Thought he was really good. He just plays his, the usual character that he plays in films, and he plays it well in this one. But yeah, the ice pick scene. Wow, it's certainly, if you were veering one way and suddenly the violence of it's just taking you by surprise. Maybe you would know it's coming because somebody told you word of mouth. But those first people went in had no idea.
Here's a question. Do you think that's a good way to go or not?
Ice pick in the head.
Yeah, but on the flip side,
more choices.
Having sex with a beautiful woman, aren't you? So rather that than in a kind of a nursing home in your 80s, perhaps. So there's ways to go. Would being butchered by an ice pick whilst in the throes of passion be a good way to go or not?
Only if you've. Sorry, I'm going to be really basic now. Only if you've come beforehand.
Okay.
Bit of a waste otherwise, isn't it?
That would be the deciding factor, you think? Yeah, but
Yeah.
assuming that he had, yeah.
Assuming that you had. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay, I think I agree.
Okay, live fast, die young. Then. Okay.
Women are really kinky because I know some girls. It's like they're into that, and I would never do that.
What, killing?
No, the being tied while you're having sex. I knew this girl. She's like,
here we go.
The fantasy. This is the fantasy she had. She goes, I want you to basically drug me and put you in the trunk of your car and kidnap me and tie me up. And I was like, I ain't doing that. I says, what happens if you die in my trunk? It's like, I'm going straight to jail. It's like, oh, please. I'm like, no. It's like, see, chick.
Yes,
I've heard of like CNC, not CNC Music Factory, consensual non-consent. So that's like basically fake rape.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was, but it's like
that sounds like it involved kidnapping, everything. Somebody saw you. And
imagine
imagine
getting pulled over by the police.
Exactly.
Pulled over by the police.
Risk, yeah.
Shining the torch in the car and going, "Can I see your license and registration?" And you go, "Boom, boom, boom," from the back. And he goes
what's
to the back.
What's the safe word? You can't even say a safe word if you're in the trunk of a car.
It's like, let's do something else.
She's going to go, this isn't a game. This isn't something that we're playing. He's kidnapped me. And then next thing, you're in jail. You got no chance, mate.
You're having a very different type of sex life after that, aren't you?
Yeah. Fun sex.
Yeah.
Drop the soap.
So I think I might have dodged a bullet.
So you didn't go along with this role play then, Joe?
No.
I know what Dom's going to ask next.
That's not like an introductory level. That would be like quite far advanced down that road of role play, wouldn't it?
What kind of girls are you associating yourself with, Joe?
Some pretty messed up girls.
Really?
No, she was cool. But it's like but I just think that was a little too far.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little.
Smidge. Yeah.
Wow. That at the car wash. Well, that killed it. I thought Dom was going to do a follow-up and go, Joe, tell me more.
Go on, Dom. You got any?
We've received some listener feedback that I might have been egging people on too much.
You got any stories, Dom, that you want to share?
Nope, I've never been involved in any sort of ice pick related shenanigans. So
no tying up fantasies or silk scarves or
silk scarves. I'm a lad from the north of England, Amanda. We don't silk scarves.
All right then, woolly scarves.
No, nothing to share like that. The comment I went to make here was about you said you like the sidekick, Charlie.
I liked him.
Gus, is he called? Yeah, you standing by that comment, are you?
Yeah, I liked him. It was all right.
His dialogue is atrocious. I got some of his lines here. This is when they discover the corpse. He got off before he got off.
Great line.
That was one of his. Not a great line.
Yeah, great line.
Literally takes one to know one later on in that. She got that magnum cum laude pussy on which you done fried up your brain. She'd
fried
have to
up
be
your brain.
nuttier than a £20 Christmas fruitcake. I couldn't work out whether it was a terrible performance or he just had terrible dialogue, but I think it's both. He's dreadful. When he got ice picked later on in the film, I think it was just like a sigh of relief from the audience. Would have been what greeted that. Yeah, it's truly atrocious.
Yeah, this is where I jump over the net and join Dom, for a little bit.
Careful, I'm going to aim the tennis ball at your head. But yeah, go on. You jump the fence, mate.
No, I'm just saying I agree. I thought he was a forgettable character, to be honest with you.
It's the one that tries to keep him straight and narrow and fails miserably. At least he tries.
I thought it was quite funny, right? At the start of the film, obviously you see Michael Douglas, he's given up smoking, he's given up drinking, he's sorted himself out, he's all clean, and then you realise it's an attempt to I don't know, save his sort of character at work in terms of, being accused of shooting. Was it
tourists?
Two tourists, wasn't it? Yeah, it was cleared or anyway, it's as a result of all that investigation. And then as soon as Sharon Stone says, "Oh yeah, you'll be smoking soon," and all your vices, basically, you'd be back on the Jack Daniels. And true to form, there he is, sparks up a cigarette, has a JD, and you're like, "Oh my god, here we go."
Yeah, but didn't you think that was like a weakness of the film? Was it required no effort to get him to descend into this chaotic state? It's like there was no careful exploration of what pushed his buttons and what led him to that state. He just caved in straight away, returned to all his vices.
I don't think that's
behavior
fair.
which would have got him suspended and fired as a policeman long before he eventually did. And it was like cartoonish levels of character development, I felt.
That's unfair, and it's unfair because if he was going to drink and smoke again, then he would have done that after the death of his recently deceased wife. If it's that easy, and if you're just waiting for an excuse in order to do that, he just wants to emulate her. He just wants to be like her, which is where he gets the interrogation scene. He says the same lines as her. "What are you going to do? Arrest me for smoking?" So he wants to be on her level. It's almost like smoking outside the bike sheds and stuff when you saw all that. But I want to be part of that crowd. So yeah, if I go and hang out there and go and do that, that's all it was.
She comes across as like icy cool, assertive, dominant, in charge. He comes across as like a sullen schoolboy. He throws his toys out the pram and it just goes around shouting at everybody. Everything that goes wrong, he just ends up getting enraged and threatening to beat people up.
He doesn't like internal affairs, does he?
No, he doesn't like that. The slightest provocation and he's flying off the handle. I thought he's quite an unlikable character.
No.
Well, I guess in a way, as you're saying that, I mean, I will agree. I don't think the writing was that great. There's a lot of things that happened. Like, did we ever see her lawyer in this movie?
But she waived the right to have a lawyer.
Then I was going to say her lawyer is brilliant, that she got off from all this stuff. But I think it kind of shows like her, just how intelligent that she is, that she's manipulating Michael Douglas to turn into this dumb idiot that is so obsessed with her, that he's not thinking straight. He does stupid things. Like he does everything that she anticipates that he's going to do because he's such an idiot. And I think that's part of the problem too, is that there's so many people in this movie that, you have to suspend disbelief. They're like, well, come on, the evidence is right there. I mean, how can you ignore it? But
makes him. I don't think class him as an idiot. She's a psychologist. She's very good at what she does.
Oh no,
transforms him into the person that she wants him to be.
I'm talking. You're talking about Sharon Stone's character. Okay, and I thought you were bringing in the psychologist.
No.
Yeah, but she did. She's kind of like you. I guess you could say she's like a Hannibal Lecter in a way, but she uses sex, and she creates doubt in his mind, and she has him obsessed with her. Where again, like Dom said, he's smoking again, he's drinking again, he's obsessed with this girl, even though he shouldn't be. So in that way, I think it's a good movie, is that her plan did work. in order to get off. But you're right too. With the dialogue, it's ridiculous. I mean, some of the writing is just very subpar. But I guess that's the whole thing with movies is you have to suspend disbelief sometimes, if and say that this doesn't make sense. I guess just with some movies like this, I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think any kind of thriller whodunit type that doesn't bear that much resemblance to reality. But at one stage, I thought this was going to be almost like a feminist movie because all the men were portrayed as idiots and all the women had the upper hand. But then actually, when you think about that, the women are all then ultimately they're all either sluts or victims themselves. They all get killed off, and nobody really emerges from any of this with much credit at all, do they? Everybody's this kind of flawed character. And I didn't see too many. I don't know who you're supposed to root for in this film, really. They're all unpleasant.
Michael, don't
Well, I think I was rooting for Sharon Stone. It's kind of like even in Silence of the Lambs, like even though he's evil, you still want to see Hannibal Lecter get away. Amanda, what did you think? Do you think this was a feminist movie?
No.
Do you think this was a film made for women though, or for men? Because for me, it's voyeuristic, and I think it appeals and titillates for a male audience.
I think it titillates for both, to be honest. Don't underestimate the power of sex for women, because you only have to look at the sales of 50 Shades of Grey, and that's a book aimed for women, and it's about sex, and it's about exploration and different things into non-vanilla type of sex. So of which some of that was displayed in the film or even alluded to as well, with the use of drugs and bisexuality. So yeah, I think it would titillate men and women that went to see the film. So I don't think it was particularly aimed at men. I just think it was a film of a product of its era in the 90s. You had very unbeknownst at the time, and they would have obviously realized after the film came out, she was the right person to be playing that part in that movie, because it worked. She had screen presence. She made you believe how the film wanted you to believe her character. So I think from a female acting point of view, yes, okay, there's the sexist element of the crossing the legs and stuff, and in Trivia we'll explore that. But it is sad that if she's actually only remembered for that, that's not a good thing to be remembered for. She should be remembered for her part in Casino more than anything, not just.
But not just to focus on Sharon Stone, but the shrink, the female psychiatrist, Jean Triplehorn's character. What about that scene when they're having a passionate encounter and then it turns into arguably kind of rape or non-consensual when he takes her from behind?
Yeah.
Did you think that was problematic?
I can't speak from experience on that, obviously, in a situational aspect, but I can see how easily that would come about. I think that was a very, very fine line, because even whilst it was happening, just slightly afterwards, she then enjoyed it. So I think there's all that sort of nuanced situational stuff. I don't want to get down the line of rape, whether it was rape or whether it wasn't rape. I don't really want to explore that, because I don't think this is the format to do that. But I think with sex there are fine lines, and barriers and boundaries, and I think it's about understanding those. So I think he was just very, I'm not excusing, by the way, I think in that scene he was just very switched on, very aggressive, very animalistic after seeing Catherine Trammell, that it stirred up a lot of basic feelings, primal
Instincts,
urges.
basic instincts.
Exactly, yeah. So it stirred that up in him.
I think that's a really good analysis. That's why I asked you definitely
Yeah.
not to kind of go too far down that road. But no, that's well said, and I think I agree with you. Yeah.
And you
One
answered
of-
my
one of the
question
things-
of why is it called basic instinct? So very well done.
Speaking of that scene, and the sort of where you said that she turned around and you can see towards the end that she might like it, just made me think of, I don't know if anyone's watched Straw Dogs with Dustin Hoffman, Susan George.
No.
Then you watched that. Dom, you've watched that.
Yeah.
So basically,
I think that scene in Straw Dogs is more. I don't think it's problematic. I think it is wrong. I think personally, I would say that.
Yeah, because she gets herself into a position where they go back to her homeland. Dustin Hoffman's American, and all the people that are there are all, like rural types and stuff like this. And her ex-boyfriend is there, and basically her ex-boyfriend comes and rapes her. But the look on her face is she smiles as it's happening, even though there's no ambiguity. It's definitely what's happening. And towards the end, it's that smile, and that's what caused a lot of controversy around it, because it's kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, he's doing something bad. Why is she smiling? But yeah, Straw Dogs. Not a companion film to this, by the way. I would just go and watch Straw Dogs for different reasons, because it's a
but just
very
to
good
conclude
film.
this discussion, Last Tango in Paris. If any of our listeners want to look into that film, that's a film that's not aged well for a similar scene.
The butter dish, of course. Right. Well, on that ambiguous note,
There was a scene as well in the piano as well, wasn't there?
I didn't watch it.
You love the piano. That's the second time in 2 weeks you brought that up. Or
SARS.
Like me mentioning
I
Eric
just
Stoltz.
remember because she was basically widowed, wasn't she? And then she was sold to some Australian guy, and she had to go with her daughter to go and live in a foreign land. And he basically raped her because he was hers, and she didn't love him. She didn't want to be with him. And then she found what's his name? God, the actor.
Harvey Keitel.
That's it. Yeah, he befriended her, didn't he? And they kind of got it on.
Moving on then from this, before YouTube has already said they've used the R word quite a lot. Is this something we need to look at? I'm going to go back to something that we did a long time ago. Auditor alert. Files seem to be going missing, and there's no audit trail of bringing them back. That file's been missing. That file that was missing from the police thing was missing for a year.
Yeah.
And all he says is, is there any chance you can ask the guy to give it me back? So, very lax. Bringing a bit of a comedic bit into it rather than what we previously discussed.
What also I found quite amusing was the search databases on finding out about past offences of people and different things, and like that's not how it would work. You'd have to type in a string of commands before you typed in that, and then you'd have to do like a database search, and then you'd have to put all your groups of data and etc. So yeah,
he just types in, he says this is
Bullshit.
what she looks like now, and he just types in 1983 into a computer of that era, and it would have just gone command not recognized.
syntax error.
Yeah, it just would have been syntax error. Good lord.
Well, I think like most people's brains were like, they weren't focusing on that back in the day. They're like, where's Sharon Stone? That's all they were thinking in their head. And
She's a
speaking
bad
of that,
driver, isn't she? Christ.
Speaking of bad drivers, these car chase scenes in this film are abysmal. There's a Ferrari in it, and the footage is like one of those dash cam footage things you see on YouTube where someone has a brang. It's pitiful, Where's the overhead shots? Where's the sweeping vistas around these San Francisco bays? You just got following along behind this car, plodding along. It's garbage. Absolutely, that lost 2 points just for the car chase scenes.
And the bit where the lorry comes in front of him, you're like, he never got out of that alive.
Yeah,
It was
that's
actually
certain death. Yeah.
about to collide with him. Yeah.
See, Dom, you're winning. You're actually lowering my score a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
blimey.
you talk about auditor alert. I would like to see the HR policies for this police department, because apparently you can just smoke and drink, flagrantly disobey orders, ignore suspension commands, insult and physically assault your colleagues. Just no attention to police procedure or following evidence trails or anything like that. Just wander around, drive around, shagging witnesses and suspects left, right, and centre, and that's all fine. Totally legit. So
see also Lethal Weapon. I mean, no. Then the psychiatrist walking around there. I mean, it's almost like, I mean, was this the thing, Joe? Was there always a psychiatrist in the police department that was just hanging around, rubbing her fingers, waiting for somebody to
sleeping with patients?
Yeah.
Another thing too. I mean, if this guy, even if he was found not guilty of killing those tourists, they wouldn't put him on active duty that way. They would give him a desk job.
They wouldn't have given him a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving towards the end, sort of end. Not going to finish just yet.
We didn't even talk about the leg crossing stuff.
No, we're gonna talk about the leg crossing.
All right. Okay. Good.
Well, I was just thinking from an overall point of view, the way that the film's focused on Michael Douglas. It's focused on what he's going through, because he's in nearly enough every single scene. And you know, you're right. Sharon Stone, people remember her for things that she did. Jen Triplehorn as well for what she did. But pretty much this is the Michael Douglas story. This is a transition from him being, and we don't know why his wife killed herself. Is it because she found out? I mean, this might be something that I missed. Is it because she found out that he was having an affair? Don't know. But you've got this arc that he goes through, and at the end comes out, and we'll get to the did she, didn't she, or who was it, or who done it at the end. But yeah, I just think it's a Michael Douglas film. I know we talked about all the other stuff, but
and that's why I got 3 out of 10 from me.
So
let's do the leg crossing scene, and let's do the nightclub scene, because those are 2 memorable scenes for different reasons. Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't like the dialogue? Did you like the back and forth dialogue in?
I like that. I thought the scene where she, because it's not just about her crossing her legs, isn't it? I thought, because she's the center of that scene. I think she is a good actress, and I think she it is interesting, and it's quite compelling the way that she does that. I mean, obviously, it's total unbelievable nonsense, But again, to Joe's point, suspend your disbelief that she's having this interview with these. And so I think that's done pretty well, and the cranking up of the tension, the kind of the way that the director edits the way the men are looking at her and responding to her, like physically and emotionally. I thought that was effective.
She's
and then it is
puppet master, effectively, isn't she?
Yeah.
In that room?
But
they're
because
all
the film,
begging and sort of,
the
doing whatever she wants them to do, basically.
The film's so well known for that scene, but so it's difficult to remember that at the time. It was a shocking development. It was that's why the word of mouth existed, because that just wasn't the sort of thing you saw on mainstream cinema. Well, or did you see it? I suppose that's the question. But I thought that's probably the best scene in the film, and that's why it's remembered.
Well, we had the 4K version, so we paused it, and yes, definitely.
And then we zoomed.
No need to.
I forgot we could zoom. Yeah. Right. Okay.
I always thought that it wasn't actually there, because whenever I've seen the film, admittedly not very many times, I tried to see whether it was actually, displayed on display as she opened her legs, and I couldn't see anything. And then when we got the 4K version, I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, okay, you can see everything.
Considering you couldn't really see it when you were in the cinema and everyone went on word of mouth, the word of mouth should have been, there's something there, but I don't know. You need to go and see it for yourself.
You should have been able to see it in the cinema. It's pretty damn big.
Yeah, well, if it's not a 4K
Dolby, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that remark, Joe.
What was worse is Jessica Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They paused that scene. Apparently, when she got thrown out of the car, her legs were spread open and she didn't have any underwear on. and it was the animators being jerks, basically. Disney eventually
Jessica
replaced
Rabbit.
it, but that's worse because it's a kids movie.
Yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is not a kids movie.
Well, in a way, you're right.
No way. That
But I would
Christopher
take
Lloyd scene.
I would take my kids to go see Who Framed Roger Rabbit over Basic Instinct.
Well, yeah, because that's like saying,
No,
I'd rather go.
Although I would give an example of home theater's surround sound to my kids so that they can see what it's really like.
Look, kids, yeah, turn away for the first 5 minutes. In fact, turn away for the whole 2 hours 9 minutes.
So did it bring back memories then, Joe, when you were watching the film in your
watching
sound?
it with your mum? Were you watching it with your mum there?
No, no, but I thought like, I was like, man, I guess we were watching this for about 5 to 10 minutes. Like that was pretty long. And no, it made me laugh because I didn't care back then, but back then, she was horrified. So it was funny.
I bet. And then when you talk about it being a film by men for men, the bit where Wayne Knight leans forward and kind of like sticks his tongue out, licks his lips, and where after that scene, you kind of like bit grubby that little bit, but yeah, rest of it's all right. And then we got the nightclub scene. Top tunes, by the way. I want to go for a drink there. I want to go for a drink there and have a smoke, and I do all of that in this nightclub.
That was trash, though. Yeah, that was a trash scene because it reminded me of the Simpsons episode when they go the gay steelworkers of America. It was all this kind of high NRG nonsense dancing. Michael Douglas looked about as comfortable in that scene as a pregnant nun. He looked totally like a fish out of water.
He did look like someone's dad trying to find his daughter to come pick him up in the taxi, didn't he?
He's supposed to be a policeman. Yeah, so it was drivel, badly done drivel. That's what I'm saying about that scene. Yeah, and it was awful.
Oh, I thought the dancing was all right.
So, all right, here's another question for you, Amanda. Do you think that Sharon Stone's character would have been attracted to Michael Douglas's character? Did you think it was believable? Because she's supposed to be fascinated and obsessed by him and basing his character on him.
Yeah.
But I just think he looks like his dad arrived to pick up his daughter from that nightclub.
Yeah, did a little bit, but maybe that's the enjoyment she likes playing. She likes playing with people and getting them to sort of conform to what she wants them to do without telling them. She's playing.
It wouldn't be much of a movie if they had Wayne Knight be the character that she went after. And again, I think she was writing a book, so she kind of said, "This is my sucker right here." I'm not saying she was attracted to him, but she was like, I'm going to use him. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, she played the game. She went along for the ride, didn't she, basically? She was driving.
I'm sticking up for Michael Douglas, sorry, in all of this. Michael Douglas was a bona fide sex symbol at the time.
He was.
He was. So there's no reason. You're all being there's no way that she'd fancy him. There would be women that are going to see this.
Quite the way I phrased it.
It's insinuated, maybe.
I mean, but you look at everyone in the interrogation room. Who is she going to choose there?
The tall guy
choose somebody.
Nick.
I forgot.
Nick. What do you think, Nick?
Every time you say it like that, I just think of Zootopia. Nick. Right. So, we've done it all. Apart from, we've got to have the discussion. Did she do it? I think it's very clear. This is just my thing. It's very clear it's Sharon Stone throughout. There's no ambiguity on that part. I don't think there's anything. I think it was all set. It was all set up. She saw her opportunity and set somebody up, and she's a psychopath.
No, you see.
Oh.
Watching the film, because I've not seen this for years. Okay, not seen the film for years. I'm like, oh God, yeah. And I was starting to think, oh God, yeah, somewhere along the line, it's the psychiatrist that's actually doing this. And then I was like, oh, of course it is. Yeah. And then it's not her at all. And then I realised at the end, oh God, yeah, ice pick. Is she going to do it? Is she not going to do it? And there's all these false kind of like orgasms and going forward, and you think, oh, it's just her thing. It's, you know, someone was obviously copying her. And if these two women had a dalliance together, then she'd have known that that's how she likes to have an orgasm, etc. So she'd know her style and be able to sort of copy that if she was being a copycat sort of killer thing, or framing someone else. So, yeah, I kind of drifted away from it being Catherine Trammell, and then to the psychologist. And then I was like, oh, but it can't be that. And then at the end, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. But I had a lot of gaps. And I spoke to you, didn't I, Charles, about the gaps. I'm like, so why did this happen? And why didn't that happen? And what was she doing dressed up in
plot holes? That's what we can refer to them as. Yeah.
Why was she dressed? Was it her that killed like his sidekick, basically, or not? Or was that Catherine Trammell, or was she just in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Wait a minute. Sorry, let's clear it up. The psychiatrist did nothing.
Well, who did the wig
apart from steal files and everything?
But who did the wig and
planted?
No,
planted there.
Well, who killed him?
Sharon Stone.
How?
With an ice pick. You were there. You saw the same thing as me.
No, I don't think you can say it that confidently. Because,
no.
Not my words, Roger Ebert, big US movie reviewer. So
he liked this, if I remember.
Does the movie deliver? In a way, it does. It kept me interested in guessing right up until the final shot, which revealed that all my efforts were pointless, since the guilt or innocence of the characters was a toss of a coin based on evidence that could be read both ways. The film is like a crossword puzzle. It keeps your interest until you solve it, then it's just worthless scrap with the spaces filled in. So it's ambiguous. You can't say who the culprit is in the film. And my personal reaction to that was I felt like it had wasted my time, rather than it being some sort of delicious twist or beautifully ambiguous. I just thought, well, what? Which was it? And there wasn't enough story there to tell either way.
Yeah, I can get that. I can understand that. Yeah.
So the first time I saw this, I will say this time I didn't think it was ambiguous at all. I thought it was her. That she was the one.
Her? What, Sharon Stone?
Yeah. Sharon Stone, yeah. I mean, because she had the ice pick under the bed. But back in the day,
if they hadn't included that one final scene of the ice pick, then it would have been a psychiatrist. So the whole thing hinges on that one scene. Whether they might have included that, they might not have done it. Could have been on the editing room floor. So I don't know. I thought that was a bit.
I had a very dumb take when I first saw it. I thought it was a lesbian girlfriend, and
well, you kind of led to believe it could be anybody, aren't you?
Well, no, even after she was gone, I was like,
oh.
It was the girlfriend, and she left the ice pick under the bed.
Yeah, you could read it that way. Look,
you got me thinking there.
Toss a coin, whichever one you think it was. It was.
Well, you got me thinking. First of all, if she's going to kill somebody when she's in bed, she has the ice pick behind her. She doesn't know who's in the bed. She doesn't go, "Oh, is there any chance you just pause? Can you just keep yourself going while I just look under the bed for something?" She's going to have the ice pick there. And then she's never going to store the ice pick underneath the bed, is she? She'll store it in the drawer. So why's the ice pick under the bed?
Maybe it rolled out of her bag.
Well, she carries it around with her. I mean, blimey.
It's very flexible, though. I mean, she probably could have reached and grabbed that ice pick.
Psychiatrist is set up. You're all mad with your theories and your bunkum and your things.
No, I think she killed him. Yeah. I think she was the murderer.
Yeah, she killed the sidekick. She killed the partner. Yeah.
Did she?
She killed everybody.
Killed the whole lot. Yeah, absolutely. She's a psychopath.
You both keep saying she. It's not clear who you're both saying it's Sharon Stone. Yeah?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. So what happens in you saw the sequel. So is she revealed as the murderer in that one?
Oh no, we'll discuss that. Actually no, yeah. Well, we can discuss the Basic Instinct 2 is set in London. Michael Douglas doesn't even get mentioned, by the way. So
you don't know if he's dead? Oh, okay.
Just a standalone. You've no idea. Again, Stan Collymore, footballer. She drives the Lamborghini into the Thames. she gets assigned a psychiatrist, David Morrissey, and basically does messes with his head, and there's killings going on all the time, all over the place. And in the end, she manages to pin everything upon David Morrissey, and he ends up in an asylum. And she comes and visits him at the end and went, thank you, you gave me my alibi, and walks off into the distance.
So it is her.
So it's her in the second one, yeah. So it's her in the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Well, we've done the scores. For those who missed the start, who think, oh, where are the scores? Joe, I think has revised his.
Have you lowered your score, Joe?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll say 6.5.
Oh, how could you get? Well, you're going down a whole mark and a half.
Yeah. I mean, without the sex and Sharon Stone, I mean, it's a dumb movie.
100%.
Wow. You can raise yours up.
No, I'll keep it at 8.5.
Okay, so we've got 8, 8.5, 6.5, and 3. Wow. Talk about a film that
splits opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great choice, Amanda. This is what I think the best types of pod are, where we can have these discussions. So,
well, really speaking of choice, Dawn,
when are we doing trivia, by the way?
When are we doing trivia? In a moment. When we're doing it as a separate podcast, like we did for Pulp Fiction.
Okay, that's fine.
So we're going to do it separately. We're going to a wee and a cup of tea. I don't know. We can make a wee cup of tea. We can do that.
A wee and your tea.
Before we get to that, before we finish this podcast, Dom, it's my birthday tomorrow, and so I'm hoping that the film you're going to choose is going to be an early birthday present. So the floor is yours, my friend. What are we covering next?
Well, it sounds like a big responsibility for me, and I have to be honest. I came into this part. I've got 4 films picked for this season, but I wasn't sure in which order to do them, and I was torn between 2 now. So I am going to go with my original plan. So I hope this is what you're after. And actually, it's not referencing Basic Instinct. It's referencing Joe's choice of Pulp Fiction earlier in this season. So for me, and I think the consensus on the pod was that Pulp Fiction was the quintessential 1990s film, probably in cinema, but certainly in American cinema. So I wanted to choose a film which, for me, I think represents the quintessential film in British cinema in the 1990s, by way of to compare and contrast. Amanda looks excited, but I'm not sure. Anyway, my film is Trainspotting.
Yes,
yeah,
that's on my list.
Oh, fantastic! Well, there you go. Great minds. So yeah, Trainspotting, which was massive in Britain certainly at the time.
Oh, it was culturally massive.
Ewan McGregor and Robert Carlyle, big film, great soundtrack, a la Pulp Fiction. It's certainly not a film that fetishizes drug use in the same way that Pulp Fiction and Basic Instinct have done. So I'm looking forward to exploring the seedy slums of Glasgow with each of you in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, and absolutely.
Joe,
I think Joe's going to need the subtitles.
Poor old Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll probably need subtitles. I've never seen it.
Haven't you?
Wow.
No. I've been tempted to see it, but I can't stand Ewan McGregor now.
I can't stand him.
I'll watch it. No, yeah, because that's the movie that made him. Like, he would not have been in Star Wars if not for that movie.
Yeah, but he's not like Ewan McGregor now. He's early version Ewan McGregor.
I'm just saying.
Edgy,
he's like
he
new
sucks
actor
in Star Wars, and I hate the fact that he was ever discovered. But I'll watch it with an open mind. Ooh, I did hear it was good. I was tempted to watch it.
Roll call next time is going to be a bit of a belter.
I hope so.
Yeah, because Joe's just going to be going through Ewan McGregor films. No, definitely not.
Is there any? Well, I guess we'll discuss it next week. I was going to say, is there any good Ewan McGregor movie other than Trainspotting?
Shallow Grave?
I've never seen it. I think he makes every movie worse.
Well,
I know
reserve judgment.
Or we'll see. Maybe I'll change, and then all of a sudden I was like, I need to watch Star Wars again. But we'll see.
I don't think that's going to happen. Although, if I had a gun to your head, Joe, Star Wars Episode 1 or Episode 9?
Oh, 1. 9 is just horrendous.
It's awful. It's awful. It is awful. I watched it. Well, I tried to watch it again. Dreadful. Right. Thank you. What are you looking? thank you, Dom, for my early birthday present. Thank you very much. It's lovely. I'm sure I'm going to get some equally good presents tomorrow, he says, looking at Amanda.
Maybe you might have a white scarf or something in your tomorrow. Perhaps a little birthday treat.
It's cashmere or silk.
Yeah, no chafing when it's
a
when it's
Hermes white scarf, maybe. I don't know.
You should get him an ice pick.
Excellent. Nice one. Right. So we're going to have a bit of a break here. It's the end of the podcast. So break in the sense that if you don't listen to trivia, then this is the end of the podcast for you. But we hope that we think it's working quite well by splitting it up. We're going to try it. If it doesn't work so well, then we'll just go back to what we did with Speed, where we included it in as we talked. So by all means, give us some feedback. But I'm just loving, and I'm just going to talk to you now as this. Thanks for those that have subscribed, and thanks for those that like the video and stuff, because that's what helps us get out. That's what helps us, do this, because we love doing this. We know that we had dedicated listeners when we first started, and this is really good. But the fact that you've all been interacting as well and leaving messages and things, I really do thank you for that. And for the listeners' requests, after Dom's, we'll all have a chat and we'll do one of those listener requests. We'll just take it because it's fine, because we can carry on doing this, and we want you to know that your feedback is very much welcome. So keep the comments coming. It'll mostly be me that reply, but if you've got anything for any of the others, let me know and I'll pass it on, and we'll tell them how good they are. Tell them Dom doesn't know what he's doing with the 3 for Basic Instinct. Lambast Joe for lowering his score, and just say how pretty and gorgeous Amanda looks. Whatever you want to say, by all means.
So my content is worth nothing. I just look pretty.
Yeah, that's very misogynistic.
Thanks.
Lord, I was giving you a compliment. It's fine.
Token blonde.
You didn't do it. You didn't give a low score, and you didn't change your score, so I didn't feel that you needed any.
Okay.
Anything like that. So
Backpedal on that one.
That's my rationale. Right.
And remember to like and subscribe.
Remember to like and subscribe.
And tell your friends.
Yeah, spread the word. If you like this, we try to separate. If people just like to come for roll call, we won't get offended. If you don't hear anything on either side, and we can see the listening stats, and we can see that there are a few, and very much a few out of the people that listen, just zero in on certain areas. Go and try and listen to the whole thing, because I think we're pretty good. Then I would say that because we started the podcast.
Come on, wrap it up.
Right. Okay, I'm going to say cheerio.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Toodle pip.